The human mind is not a house from which you can expel unwanted guests. It is an infinite ocean where every attempt to suppress a wave only generates more intense storms in the invisible depths of consciousness. For millennia, sincere seekers have battled against negative thoughts like warriors fighting shadows, without realizing that the very struggle feeds that which they wish to destroy. This inner battle is not character defect nor spiritual weakness, but fundamental misunderstanding about the nature of mind and true identity, of the observer who witnesses all mental phenomena with eternal serenity. Have you ever tried to not think about something disturbing and discovered that the more you struggled, the more vivid that mental image became, like fire that intensifies when blown by the wind of resistance? This paradox reveals cosmic law that governs internal territories of human experience. Mind operates according to principles that defy superficial understanding about control and will, functioning more like river that flows naturally toward ocean than machine that obeys mechanical commands. The most obvious strategy, eliminate negative and cultivate only positive, creates exactly the opposite of what is sought, generating internal conflict that drains vital energy and fragments the natural peace of soul. Today you will discover why willpower applied as repression transforms into its own opposite, and learn ancestral method that transforms relationship with disturbing thoughts not through battle, but through wise understanding about who you truly are in relation to mental processes. This journey will lead you from unconscious identification with mental contents to serene freedom of awakened observer who remains unchanged while all psychological phenomena flow and dissolve like clouds crossing infinite sky of pure consciousness. The human mind knows no subtraction nor division. Like child who has only learned to add and multiply, it only knows how to amplify that which receives conscious attention, transforming every attempt to remove negative thought into offering of most precious fuel, your directed focus. This fundamental law operates independently of intentions or personal desires, revealing that mental resistance functions like wind that fans flames instead of extinguishing them, creating vicious cycles where effort to eliminate negativity generates more negativity, in a ascending spiral of self-perpetuated suffering. Contemplate gardener who, instead of watering flowers he wishes to cultivate, spends entire days pulling weeds with desperate obsession. His hands touch only thorns, eyes contemplate only that which he detests, vital energy exhausts itself in struggle that never ends because constant focus on unwanted keeps it alive and vibrant in soil of consciousness. At end of each day, garden remains wild despite Herculean efforts, and gardener, exhausted by fruitless battle, questions bitterly why flowers of peace and joy do not bloom in his inner life, without perceiving that he completely neglected nourishment of that which he truly wanted to cultivate. Try now simple but devastating revelation. For just 30 seconds, try not to think of monkey. Do not visualize features. Do not imagine movements. Do not hear sounds they make. Do not allow image to appear on mental screen. What happens? Mind instantly fills with monkeys jumping, running, screaming in complete invasion of that which you tried to prohibit, demonstrating that active resistance is disguised invitation. Conscious prohibition is unconscious amplification, and misdirected willpower becomes mechanism of mental self. This demonstration is not entertainment nor psychological curiosity, but scientific revelation about fundamental nature of human consciousness. That which you resist persists. That which you fight strengthens. That which you deny desperately seeks affirmation through underground channels of path of liberation. Requires wisdom more subtle than brute force, understanding deeper than superficial control, and method more elegant than inner war that only perpetuates suffering in name of its elimination. Body and mind are magnificent vehicles at service of life that you are. When car drives itself, it becomes source of danger. When mind functions automatically without conscious supervision, it generates unnecessary suffering through repetitive patterns that unconscious programs installed by past experiences. Fundamental question is not to combat thoughts as external enemies, but to remember who is in driver's seat of experience, to discover identity of observer who remains present before, during, and after all mental contents that arise and dissolve in space of consciousness. You are not your thoughts, just as driver is not automobile he drives, pianist is not piano he plays, nor ocean is waves that form on its surface. You are eternal consciousness that observes, chooses, and directs. While thoughts are temporary, physiological process like digestion or blood circulation, events that happen within field of your experience but do not define immutable essence of your being. This distinction is not abstract philosophy for intellectual contemplation, but practical discovery that immediately transforms a relationship with disturbing mental contents, creating sacred space between who you are and that which you experience. Investigate profound mystery of your own existence. When you close eyes, you continue present and conscious. When thoughts cease during deep sleep, you do not cease to exist. When emotions pass like storms crossing inner landscape, something in you remains constant, observing transformations without being transformed by them. This conscious presence that witnesses all phenomena without being affected by any of them is your true self, unchanging center from which you can relate to negative thoughts without automatic identification that generates unnecessary psychological suffering. Practice direct recognition of this truth. Close your eyes and rest attention in pure experience of being alive. Do not look for specific thoughts or sensations. Simply allow yourself to feel basic aliveness that permeates your entire being. Simple and luminous consciousness that exists before any particular content arises in mind. This state of conscious presence without object is your true home. Refuge always available, where you can rest when mental storms intensify. And starting point for all authentic transformation of inner experience. When you establish yourself as conscious observer instead of unconscious victim of mental processes, natural space arises between immutable essence of your being and temporary contents that emerge in mind. This space is like infinite sky that remains immaculate, even when stormy clouds cross it, or like movie screen that is not affected by films projected on its surface. In this dimension of detached observation, negative thoughts automatically lose power to define identity or dictate actions, transforming into temporary events that you can contemplate with compassionate curiosity without need to fight against them or flee from their presence. In this sacred space of conscious observation, anger may arise, but you do not become an angry person. Fear may appear, but your essence remains fundamentally whole and serene. Sadness may cross emotional landscape, but core of your being continues undisturbed like mountain that observes passing clouds without being moved by temporary winds. This capacity to witness without identification is not emotional coldness nor pathological dissociation, but spiritual maturity that recognizes difference between experiencing phenomenon and being defined by it, between temporarily hosting mental content and allowing it to establish permanent residence in House of Consciousness. Tibetan monk, questioned about how to deal with disturbing emotions that visit mind even of advanced practitioners, offered luminous metaphor. I let them sit in my living room, offer them tea of conscious hospitality, listen respectfully to message they bring. But I do not invite them to move permanently into my house, nor allow them to redecorate furniture of my inner peace. This attitude of detached hospitality dissolves resistance that feeds mental suffering, transforming relationship with disturbing contents from battle to dance, from war to wisdom. Begin training of this serene observation by focusing on breathing for a few minutes daily. When negative thought arises during practice, simply note with gentleness, thought present, without moral judgment or attempt at modification. Then return gently to respiratory rhythm as anchor. Repeat as many times as necessary without frustration, remembering that each conscious return to focus is victory of consciousness over mental automatism, strengthening of attention muscle that gradually dissolves compulsive identification with disturbing mental content. Anger, resentment, anxiety, and fear are psychological poisons that you yourself prepare and ingest, hoping others will suffer toxic effects, without perceiving that each minute of irritation alters blood chemistry, weakens immune system, creates muscular tensions that crystallize as chronic physical pain, and programs nervous system for alarm states that drain vital energy necessary for regeneration and creativity. Mental negativity is not only abstract psychological discomfort, but concrete biochemical process that intoxicates cell by cell, sacred temple of body, creating cascade of physiological effects that manifest as fatigue, illness, and accelerated aging. Understanding real biological cost of habitual negativity offers powerful practical motivation to transform relationship with destructive mental states, just as wise gardener would not water delicate plants with corrosive acid. Awakened mind avoids nourishing thoughts that corrode natural vitality and organic harmony of body-mind system. This lucidity does not generate additional guilt for feeling negative emotions, but rather clarity about consequences of habitually sustaining mental patterns that function like addictive drugs. They offer temporary relief through emotional drama, but leave hangover of exhaustion and toxicity that compromises general well-being. There exists ancient parable that can illuminate wisdom necessary for liberation. Two monks were walking when they encountered woman trying to cross muddy river without managing to keep clothes clean. Older monk carried her gently to opposite bank. Then they continued journey in contemplative silence. Hours later, young disciple exploded in indignant protest. Our monastic vows prohibit any physical contact with women. Master responded with compassionate serenity. I left that woman at riverbank many hours ago. You are still carrying her in your agitated mind. Establish daily ritual of mental cleansing as spiritual hygiene. At end of each day, dedicate 5 minutes to consciously releasing resentments, worries, and irritations accumulated during daily activities. Visualize them as dense smoke dissipating in infinite air, or as dry leaves carried by wind of renewed consciousness. Nervous system will gradually learn that it does not need to carry emotional weight of situations that have already passed, developing natural capacity to process experiences without allowing them to accumulate as toxins in inner landscape. Instead of forcing against negative thoughts like warrior fighting shadows, gently redirect attention to vital signs of life flowing through your being, heartbeats that echo cosmic rhythm, respiratory movement that connects individual body to planetary atmospheric ocean, sensation of luminous vitality that permeates each cell when mind quiets and allows direct experience of energy that animates physical form. This practice anchors consciousness in living present instead of mental prison of remembered past or imagined future, creating stable foundation for serene observation of mental contents without disturbing identification. Choose attentional anchor that resonates with unique sensitivity of your temperament. Some find peace focusing on gentleness of breathing. Others prefer solidity of feet connected to earth. Still others discover subtle silence that permeates all sounds. Important is not specific technique, but quality of presence you bring to practice, sustaining chosen attention with persistent gentleness, returning without self-criticism whenever mind disperses into familiar territory of worries and fantasies. Each conscious return to focus strengthens muscle of concentration and weakens habit of automatic identification with mental turbulence. Like wise shepherd who guides flock not through violent shouts but calm presence and clear direction, conduct attention without internal violence. Each distraction is opportunity to practice patience with yourself. Each moment of conscious presence is seed of peace planted in garden of soul. Each breath observed with loving attention is silent, offering to altar of consciousness that observes all phenomena with natural equanimity. Authentic progress is measured not by complete absence of negative thoughts, but by growing space between arising of disturbing content and automatic emotional reaction, allowing conscious choice about how to respond. Integrate micro-sessions of presence throughout day as points of spiritual anchoring, 30 seconds of conscious attention to breathing before each meal, 1 minute of contemplative pause between professional activities, 3 deep and intentional breaths before. These apparently small moments create impulses of clarity that gradually transform general quality of mental experience, like drops of pure water that eventually purify entire lake through patiently persistent accumulation. Trying to exchange negative thoughts for positive ones through force maintains same flawed logic of direct mental control. More effort generates more internal resistance. More attempt at manipulation creates more turbulence. More focus on contents perpetuates problematic identification instead of developing serene disidentification that is true solution. Authentic transformation is born from fundamental change of perspective, from one who tries to control experience to one who observes experience, from unconscious participant to conscious witness, from victim of mental processes to open space, where mental processes can arise and dissolve without disturbing essential peace of observer. Using mantras or affirmations as escape from present reality can suspend symptoms temporarily, creating artificial bubble of positivity. But when mechanical repetition ceases, disturbing contents return with redoubled force because root cause, identification with thoughts, remains untouched. Authentic mantra is not escapism nor mental makeup, but tool of presence that anchors attention in present moment and cultivates specific quality of consciousness, functioning as anchor that keeps boat stable during storms instead of denial that storms exist. Measuring spiritual progress by immediate absence of negative thoughts generates additional anxiety and frustration that sabotages practice itself. Conditioned mind continues operating according to old patterns during transition period, and expectation of instant change creates pressure that interferes with natural process of gradual transformation. Wise metrics include greater internal space between disturbing stimulus and automatic emotional reaction, less time of entanglement when mental disturbances arise, more emotional stability after stressful events, and growing capacity to observe inner drama without being dragged by its compulsive narrative. Confusing spiritual practice with psychological repression generates frustration that frequently leads to premature abandonment of effective methods. Genuine practice is not war against unwanted aspects of experience, but stable observation that allows all contents to arise and dissolve naturally in space of detached consciousness. Loving patience with yourself during learning process is an essential component of inner journey, recognizing that profound transformation requires time to mature like tree that grows slowly but develops strong roots and lasting fruits. When you understand deeply that thoughts are temporary events flowing through eternal consciousness that you are, you relate to them as infinite sky relates to passing clouds, without resistance that creates turbulence, without attachment that prolongs suffering, with natural serenity that allows all phenomena to arise and dissolve in fundamental peace that was never disturbed by superficial drama of conditioned mind. This wisdom transcends specific technique or method, revealing itself as direct recognition of essential nature of consciousness that observes all mental processes without being affected by any of them. True freedom does not reside in absence of negative thoughts, impossibility while human mind functions, but in absence of compulsive identification with any mental content that arises in space of conscious experience. This inner freedom is not future conquest requiring years of disciplined practice, but present discovery available at any moment through simple shift of perspective, from one who thinks to one who observes thoughts, from one who suffers to one who witnesses suffering, from one who seeks peace to one who recognizes peace as fundamental nature of consciousness before any seeking begins. If these revelations have penetrated sacred territory of soul, where universal truths resonate, like crystal bells touched by wind of direct understanding, Become channel through which ancestral wisdom can reach contemporary hearts that suffer unnecessarily in self-created prisons of unconscious mental identification. Leave your like as offering of gratitude to mystery that allows transforming knowledge to flow between awakened consciousnesses. Subscribe to continue receiving transmissions that dissolve veils of ignorance and reveal natural light of soul. Generously share this knowledge with those you love, for greatest service is to awaken sleeping consciousnesses to recognition of their own divine nature. Leave sincere comment about perceptions and experiences that arise when applying these teachings in laboratory of daily life. Your unique journey of discovery can illuminate path of other seekers and create community of souls dedicated to inner transformation and compassionate service of humanity, awakening to truth of its essential unity. Together, we form network of light that gradually transforms quality of collective consciousness through silent revolution that begins in heart of each individual willing to question assumed identity and discover who they truly are beyond all apparent limitation. May light of direct understanding forever dissolve all shadows of mental confusion that obscure recognition of your essential nature as pure and luminous consciousness. May you awaken completely to eternal truth that you are unchanging witness of all phenomena, serene ocean, where waves of thought arise and dissolve without disturbing infinite depth of your being. May peace that transcends human understanding, joy that does not depend on external circumstances, and unconditional love that embraces all existence be constant companions in your journey of complete self-realization.